Welcome back to Daily Wellness Path. In this video, we'll share tips to help you lower your blood pressure in as little as 7 days. Follow along to discover how you can lower your blood pressure naturally with some simple tricks. Be sure to stay to the end for a special tip you don't want to miss that only takes a minute, can lower blood pressure within minutes, and is free. High blood pressure, also known as hypertension, affects millions of people and can lead to serious health issues if left unchecked. It's often called the silent killer because it can increase the risk of heart attacks, strokes, and kidney damage without obvious symptoms. Blood pressure is measured by two numbers, the top number called systolic and the bottom number called diastolic. Most experts recommend that blood pressure should be around 120/80. Remember, this video is for informational purposes only and is not medical advice. Always consult with a healthcare professional before making any changes to your health regimen or medications. The main key for our tips to help naturally reduce blood pressure is to find foods that either widen your blood vessels, adjust the blood flow level, or provide the necessary nutrients, such as electrolytes, for your body to naturally regulate these processes. Tip number 1. Harness the power of nitric oxide with beets and nuts. Our first tip is to use the power of nitric oxide to lower blood pressure. Beets are an abundant source of nitrates, which convert in the body to nitric oxide. Nitric oxide tells the body to relax and widen blood vessels. This in turn helps to lower blood pressure. Beets also improve blood flow and contain antioxidants. You can boil and blend beets into a smoothie, juice them, or roast them for salads. Beet powder is also a convenient option. Just mix it into water or juice, but ensure your beet powder comes from a reputable source. Be aware, however, that beets contain oxalates, so check with your doctor before trying this, especially if you're prone to kidney stones. Alternatively, there are other foods that help the body make nitric oxide, such as leafy greens and nuts. Nuts contain arginine, an amino acid that helps produce nitric oxide to relax blood vessels and lower blood pressure. A handful of nuts is all that you need. Tip number 2. Use potassium to improve blood pressure. Our second tip is to use potassium to lower blood pressure. Potassium is a powerful mineral and electrolyte. Many people have heard the advice to reduce salt intake, but what you don't hear as often is that sodium and potassium counterbalance each other. Potassium will counteract sodium's effect on blood pressure. Potassium also helps support the artery's inner lining. Potassium can also lower the risk of getting a stroke and help reduce clotting. Experts estimate that approximately 60 to 80% of the population is deficient in potassium. Those suffering from hypertension often have low potassium levels and may not even know it because our bodies have a need for such a high amount of it. It may be worth asking your doctor to check potassium levels for a deficiency. Be cautious, however, if you have advanced kidney disease and consult with a medical professional before taking potassium supplements. Potassium can be consumed in foods such as avocados, lima beans, squash, sweet potatoes, oranges, mangoes, and potatoes. Leafy greens are a double benefit because they are rich in both nitrates and potassium, which helps to relax and widen blood vessels, reduce arterial stiffness, and lower blood pressure. They also contain fiber that can help reduce the risk of hypertension. Another thing to watch is there are culprits that can reduce potassium, such as refined sugar and carbs. Some medications can also deplete potassium, such as certain diuretics. Of course, don't make any changes to your medications without checking with a medical professional. Tip number 3. Use zinc to improve nitric oxide production and reduce blood pressure. Building on our first tip on the power of nitric oxide, zinc is also necessary for nitric oxide production, so it may also help to check zinc levels to ensure there is no deficiency. As with potassium, certain medications, including blood pressure medications, can deplete zinc, as can diuretics, antacids, antibiotics, and birth control pills. Again, this is not to say you shouldn't take these medications, but rather be aware that there may be a zinc deficiency in play. Zinc is also necessary for certain antioxidants, such as superoxide dismutase, to keep inflammation in check, and it is implicated in leptin production, the hormone related to energy and appetite control. Zinc is found in good amounts in foods like oysters, shellfish, and also red meat. Tip number 4. Include garlic in your diet. Garlic contains allicin, a compound that helps relax blood vessels and improve blood flow. Crush garlic to release more allicin and use it at lower heat to preserve its benefits. Some studies suggest garlic can be as effective as blood pressure medication for certain individuals. Tip number 5. Use ginger to lower blood pressure. You may have heard of certain drugs that are considered calcium channel blockers. These pills work by preventing calcium from entering the cells of the heart and arteries, which prevents them from squeezing strongly, causing blood vessels to relax and widen. So you may be wondering what ginger has to do with calcium channel blockers, and it turns out that ginger may similarly help relax and dilate blood vessels and act as a calcium channel blocker, potentially lowering blood pressure. Ginger can easily be worked into foods, or it can be boiled to use as tea. Tip number 6. Lower blood pressure with berries. Berries contain anthocyanins, which give them their beautiful, vibrant, and deep colors. Anthocyanins improve the lining of blood vessels, called endothelial cells. Studies have shown that eating a little over a cup of berries a day for a month can improve blood vessel dilation and even lower systolic blood pressure. Tip number 7. Drink hibiscus tea. Stay hydrated and reduce caffeine. Studies suggest that hibiscus tea may be helpful for lowering both systolic and diastolic blood pressure. A review of several studies found hibiscus tea consumption resulted in an average decrease of 7.58 mmHg for systolic blood pressure and 3.53 mmHg for diastolic blood pressure. As an added note, staying hydrated is crucial for maintaining healthy blood pressure levels. Dehydration can cause blood vessels to constrict, leading to increased blood pressure. Caffeinated drinks can also contribute to dehydration, and high caffeine intake can spike blood pressure. Hibiscus tea may prove a beneficial alternative way to stay hydrated. Check with your doctor before consuming hibiscus tea, especially if you are taking a diuretic. Tip number 8. Use vitamin D to ward off hypertension. Low vitamin D levels have been implicated in hypertension. Although it is difficult for experts to estimate, some experts believe about 1/3 of the population is deficient. Vitamin D may change how some body chemicals control blood pressure. Also, when people have low vitamin D, their arteries can become stiff. This makes it harder for blood to flow, which can contribute to hypertension. Vitamin D may play a part in keeping the lining of blood vessels flexible rather than stiff, resulting in healthier blood vessels. Although you can get vitamin D from the sun and from supplements, many people don't know you can also get vitamin D from foods, such as egg yolks, fatty fish, and mushrooms. Tip number 9. Consume fatty fish. Fatty fish, like salmon and mackerel, are high in omega-3 fatty acids, which can help lower blood pressure. Fatty fish is another food that packs multiple punches, since it is also an excellent source of vitamin D and potassium. Experts recommend consuming 3 to 6 ounces of fish a couple of times a week. However, please check with your doctor, especially if you are nursing or pregnant. Tip number 10, our quick-acting free tip. Thank you for staying until the end. As promised, our last tip can work as quickly as the same day and is free. It is to practice a special kind of breathing called slow breathing. Now, before you click off, I know this seems like it would be too easy to work, but it can really make a big difference, and the magic is in how easy it is. Multiple studies have found that slow breathing can lower blood pressure quickly, the very same day, and the results are impressive. In one study, the systolic upper blood pressure reading was lowered by up to 7 points, and the diastolic by up to 5 points. As a bonus, the slow breathing technique improved the sensors in the body that regulate blood pressure, called baroreflex sensitivity. It's like a tune-up for your blood pressure sensors. Based on the studies, the ideal breathing rate to reduce blood pressure is 6 breaths per minute. To use this technique, simply breathe in slowly through your nose for 5 seconds, and then out through your mouth for 5 seconds, and then repeat for a total of 6 times, which is about 1 minute. This can be done a few times per day or as needed. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.